feelings of connectedness in youth. So all of you should have a handout in your bag, and we're going to be working from this, so please pull that out. And I feel good in that I have been to this summit as a participant, as an exhibitor, and a presenter for the full 13 years. And how many of you were back here 13 years ago? I remember a small group back in St. Charles. A few of us. We'll have to get together and talk. But thank you, Cindy, for always doing such an outstanding job with you and your volunteers. Okay, how many of you in the audience currently work with youth? How many of you currently work with youth? In some way? School, church, social service? How many of you have an impact on youth? And I define youth 0 to 24. How many of you have an opportunity to have impact on youth? Okay. So you're in the right place in terms of what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be really talking about the fact that youth are 25% of the population and 100% of the future. I think I'm going to change this saying because I really like leaders of today making an impact on tomorrow. That's very, very powerful. So we're going to try to give you a roadmap today of some ideas of how to make that happen. First of all, we're going to be talking about the 40 developmental assets. And depending upon what group you would like to look at, on pages 3 and 4 in your handouts is information about the asset model developed by Peter Benson and the Search Institute. If you look on either page 3 or 4, pages 3 is for younger children, and pages 4 is for 12 through 18. So I want you to be thinking about a youth that you know very well. It could be a family member, it could be one of your students, it could be a neighbor, but I really want you to be thinking about someone that you know very, very well, because as we walk you through the asset model, in my mind as a psychologist, it's really a roadmap in terms of how to look at healthy youth development. I know that as a psychologist, I'm often called upon to come up with a diagnosis of depression or whatever. We're looking at learning disability, ADHD, all that alphabet soup stuff. But what I often look for in youth, because I think the jury's out, is I want to know in my mind how many assets this young person currently has and what are some ways that we can help that young person begin to develop additional assets. So as a psychologist, I use this, it's very close to my heart as I think about working with youth either in evaluation or in counseling. So again, this is the building blocks. And just keep in mind that as we walk through the 40 assets, you'll begin to look at some of the different ideas. So the first section we're going to be talking about, and it's to the left of your sheet on pages either 3 or 4, we're going to be talking about external assets. What is going on in the community? So we're first going to look at support, such as family support, positive family communication. Do families actually have meals together? That's one of the critical things I'm finding with today's busy families, is they don't have meals together anymore. So I think that's, looking at the research, that's a critical piece in terms of helping youth develop in a positive way. Having other adult relationships, either through aunts or uncles, grandparents, neighbors, that's very critical. A caring community, one in which the community values youth. This is a very critical piece. A caring school climate, and we're going to get into a little bit more of that when we talk about school connectedness. And parent involvement in schooling. I think the fact that we now have our internet is good news and bad news. On the one hand, I think it's very positive in that the parents are connected very quickly to what's going on in school. We also have to look, and as we're going through this, if you don't mind thinking about your youth, checking off what you think your youth has in their lives. Obviously, when we're talking about external support, you might be thinking about what's going on externally. But obviously when we think about empowerment, we're looking at, does the community really value youth? Are they valued? Are they able to participate in a meaningful way in the community? Are children used and youth used as resources? Are they used in a peer program? Are they used in service learning, but a variety of activities? Are there opportunities to provide services to others? And is it, as we think about it, does the child feel safe at home and in the community and at school? That feeling of safeness is very, very critical, and that's why we have such an emphasis on safe schools at the current time. I just returned, I'm going to be talking a little bit more about this, from the Federal Partners Summit on bullying prevention, of which 9 federal agencies were involved, and that's where I was able to get this DVD for you all today. One of the key things the federal partners are trying to do is to create a safe environment in our schools, one in which students can and want to learn and want to go to. Looking at